So what I'd like you to try to do on your own here is go through and fill in as many of these conversions as you think you know. Now, this is not a test, and if you don't do that well on it, that's okay. But I'm just curious how much you know about these conversions already. All right, so go through and fill in what you can. All right, so let's go through these, see what we know off the top of our head before we need help from this. Now, I will say eventually, with these ones here, you are going to need to be able to do these on your own. You're going to have to commit these ones to memory. That's the expectation. Not by tomorrow, but eventually you will. And some of these, obviously up here, a couple of these you should get pretty easily. So, a foot, how many? 12? A yard, 3? Yeah, 3 feet. A mile. 5,280 feet, yeah. So why don't we, I'm going to actually add one more to this, just to see how, just to help out. How about a mile would be how many yards? How many yards are we talking here? A rule? 1,760 yards. How did you get the 1,760? Divided what by 3? Yeah, we converted the feet into yards because there's 3 feet in 1 yard, so you divide the feet by yards to get, or by 3 to get your yard. All right, now let's go to metric. So that was the customary form of length. Customary meaning we use these here in the States and virtually nowhere else in the world uses it, but metric system is used by predominantly the rest of the world. So it's good that we know some of the basics of it. We should know it all, but we're just going to go with the very basics of it. So a centimeter, I think this should be millimeters. Mine got cut off. So a centimeter is how many millimeters? Think about a meter stick, centimeters, or even a ruler on the back of it. Nadia? More than 5. 10. A meter is how many centimeters? Mara? 100, yes. So a meter stick has 100 centimeters in it. And then I think this says meters out here, right? A kilometer is how many meters? Frankie? 1,000. Okay, so that was your metric version of length, the ones that we're going to use. Now, this is by no means all of the forms of measurement, but these are the most common ones. The capacity customary. A cup. When they tell you should be drinking this many cups of water a day, or a serving size has this many cups, how many fluid ounces are we talking about? Brooke? 8. A pint. How many cups are in a pint? Aiden? Not 4. 2. There are 2 cups. A quart. How many pints are in a quart? Brooke? 2. If we didn't know the next, well, we could actually make another conversion on this. A gallon is how many quarts? Cameron? 4. So from this, you could actually convert a lot of things. You could figure out how many ounces there are in a gallon. You could figure out how many pints there are in a gallon, things like that. And we will eventually, but you have to know the basics of it in order to make those conversions. So those are some of the customary forms of capacity, like how much it will hold. And really the only one we're going to apply here on the metric would be the liters to milliliters. So how many milliliters would there be in 1 liter? Bro? There's 1,000, yeah. The good thing about the metric system is that you're all working with exponential values of 10, right? Tens, hundreds, thousands, decimals too. But it's all just decimal place moves. So us working with metric system is actually really easy. Some people, like a lot of times, we think, oh, the metric system, that's so difficult. It's actually very simple. The customary form of measurement, that's the odd form of measurement, right? There's really no rhyme or reason to it versus the metric system where, you know, it's very, very mathematical in nature. All right, how about the weight measurements here? Customary, a pound. Now, we're not talking about fluid ounces now. This is weight. Nadia? 12 is not quite right. It is 16 ounces in a pound. T stands for ton. A ton. How many pounds? Do you know, Kate? 2,000, yes. So when you're walking around carrying a backpack and you're like, man, this thing weighs a ton. No, it doesn't. All right. That's a lot of weight. How about a mass metric system? The grams, kilograms conversion. A kilogram, a rule, is 1,000 grams. Now, I want to add a couple things in here, not because I feel like you don't know them, but to highlight them. One of the conversions we're going to be doing a lot of is time conversions, okay? So we obviously know there's 60 seconds in a minute. We know there's 60 minutes in an hour. I'm going to forego writing those down. Okay, but we are going to have to write some conversions that involve hours to seconds. So, conversion, how many seconds there are in an hour? You have it, Rule? 3,600, yeah, 3,600. How'd you get that, Rule? We all know that there are 24 hours in a day, right? But how many minutes would that be equivalent to? 24 hours a day. How many minutes are we talking about here? Nadia? No, they're not that long. Certain days seem long, but they're not 86,400 minutes. Kate? 1440, yeah. How'd you get that, Kate? Yeah, 24 hours, 60 minutes in an hour, 60 times 24 gives you that. Okay? And from here, we could find other ones. Like if I wanted to know how many seconds there were in a day, things like that, you could find them. But these are just some of the basics of it that you should probably know. And the more you work with these numbers, the more they will just become part of your memory, and you'll become familiar with those. All right. So let's go back. I'm not even going to fill in the bottom yet. Let's go back to the notes from the other day that we had just started. This is what I think would be the back of the the second page in your notes, I guess. So we finished up with the converting. We were working on this site problem down here at the end on Friday. So I want to get through these last few examples. Yeah. Just where we left off the other day. All right, so here we have a different type of ratio that you're going to see. We have a different type of ratio because if you look at example 1, it says write the ratio 48 hours to 5 days in simplest form. Well, it's different Because we have two numbers that are being measured in two different units. We have hours, we have days. And when I put this into simplest form, technically simplest form, must be in the same units. So when I say write a ratio here, I don't want us to write 48 hours, sorry, to 5 days and be like, well, that's simplified because they don't have any common factors. We're good. No, actually, what we need to do is make a conversion here. And the choice is yours. And I'm going to look at both sides of this. But you could convert the hours into days, or you could convert the days into hours. And I'm going to show you how both work. All right? So why don't you do this for me? Why don't you convert the hours into days for me? Shouldn't take you long. 48 hours. What's its equivalent in days? I was friendly with these examples. They don't always work this nicely. Frankie. Yeah, so this becomes 2 hours to 5, or I'm sorry, 2 days. Forgot we changed it. So this is 2 days to 5 days. But you don't actually even need the units anymore. And I'll show you why. Let's convert into hours, which would be 48 hours first. 5 days would be how many hours? See why having these calculators now makes everything a lot quicker. Mara? Say that again. 120. Okay. Now let's reduce this down. Find your common factors. What do you have, Cameron? Yeah. So it's going to be 2 hours to 5 hours, just like we had 2 days to 5 days. So overall, like I said before, you don't need the units because once you convert them into the same units, the ratio will be the same no matter what. So this would be just written as a ratio of 2 to 5. Okay, not 48 to 5 because we have to make that conversion. All right, why don't you guys try number 2? You don't have to do it both ways. You can just do it one way. How about number 2? What is your simplified ratio here? 4 feet to 36 inches. What do you have, Nadia? What is it? 4 to 3. So did you convert the feet to inches or the inches to feet? So you made this into 48. Okay, so she went 48 to 36. Common factor, reduced it down, ends up 4 to 3. Common factor would be 12. How many of you converted the inches to feet? Okay, if you convert the inches to feet, you'll notice that we go right from 36 inches to 3, right? 4 feet stays the same, 36 inches converts to 3, and we're going to get the same value, 4 to 3. People always say, well, which way would you rather go? Well, it doesn't matter, of course, but if you could convert to the larger unit of measure, in this case, feet versus inches, feet are the larger form of measurement, you have a better chance of it not needing to be reduced. Or you're going to be working with smaller numbers at the very least. Just like up above. Like if I converted these both to days, since days are a larger form of measurement, 48 hours just automatically turned into 2, and we had our ratio right away. Versus over here, we were led to some bigger numbers that we had to do an extra calculation. So, it's up to you. All right, 96 ounces to 4 pounds. Anybody make that conversion yet? All right, try it. All right, 96 ounces to 4 pounds. Which one is a larger form of measurement? Ounces or pounds? Which one would it be? A rule? Pounds. So we could try and say, okay, well, I'm going to leave the 4 where it is and try to convert the ounces into those pounds. Well, how many pounds are equivalent to 96 ounces based on our newly defined conversion here? Isa? 6. How'd you get 6, Isa? 96 divided by 16, right? 16 ounces in a pound. So this becomes 6 to our 4, which would get reduced down to a 3 to 2. All right, maybe you didn't go that route. Maybe you said, you know what, I'm going to convert 4 pounds into ounces. Did anybody do that? All right, how many ounces are there in 4 pounds, Nadia? 4 pounds would become 64. So you end up with a ratio of 96 to 64, which, divide them out, keep working its way down, you're going to end up with a 3 to 2. 32 would be your GCF between those. You're going to get there eventually. That would be your ratio. Okay? So tonight, and from this point on, anytime you're faced with 2 different types of units, you got to convert them into the same and simplify, if you can. Okay? If you have like ounces to days, then obviously you can't convert them. That's a different concept altogether. All right, here's something new that I'm putting in these notes here. If you look down there, it says self-assessment for section 1. So I have 3 levels. And the expectation for you guys would be that you're not going to be on level 1. Level 1 would be like very basic understanding. Like, how well did I understand this lesson? Well, you know, can I write 8 feet to 20 feet in simplest form? I would hope so. Okay. Level 2, some of you, depending on the section, might find yourself in level 2. Like, level 2 is kind of where I feel like I am right now. That's fine. You're going to do whichever one you feel like you're comfortable with. Level 3 would be ultimately where I would like all my honors kids to be able to do a problem like level 3. All right? So I'm going to give you a minute or two. Try to pick one of those problems right there. Level 2, level 3. See which ones you can solve. If you want to do them all, you can, but I don't need you to do them all. But I want you to try to work out one of those 3 problems there.